So first of all, I'd like to thank Keshu Murari Prabhu for the opportunity to come to this wonderful temple. I've known Keshu Murari Prabhu for how many, 20 years or something like that, thereabouts, from Punjabi Bagh. And somehow the impression that I get from Keshu Murari Prabhu when I get to associate with him is that he's always blissful, especially when he smiles. You become infected by his happiness and enthusiasm. Once Srila Prabhupada was speaking with his disciples and he said, "You always have to be happy in Krishna consciousness. And if you're not happy in Krishna consciousness, then you're a rascal." So when I see Keshu Murari Prabhu, I understand what Srila Prabhupada means by being happy in Krishna consciousness. Which is especially impressive given that he is the temple president of this, the largest temple in Delhi now, is it? When you become the temple president of such a large temple, such a large burden of love, then your happiness in Krishna consciousness really is taken to test. Because now your happiness is not your individual project, you have to infuse others with your happiness. That's what Vaishnava Sangha is meant for. Vaishnava Sangha, that's what it's meant for. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it's explained that Parasparanu Kathanam Pavanam Bhagavat Yesha Midhara Tir Midhostur Tir Nivritti Midha Atmana. The devotees have to gather together to exchange their feelings of nourishment, feelings of happiness, and feelings of inspiration. Nourishment, happiness, and inspiration. Inspiration, yeah. And then the next verse says, in such association of devotees, when they exchange their mutual happiness and nourishment and enthusiasm, then all of them become elevated to the level of love for Krishna together. Смарантах смараянташча мигауга митха гауга харам харим бхактя санджата bhaktya bibratut polakam tanum. In the sangha of such inspiring and inspired devotees, bhakti becomes a shared commodity. I'm sorry, am I speaking too technically? In the association of such inspiring and inspired devotees, bhakti becomes a shared commodity. And they become effulgent like the sun. Srila Prabhupada would often refer to his disciples proudly by commenting on how effulgent they appear, they look like. He was quoting one priest, was a Catholic priest who approached Prabhupada and somewhere, was it on an airplane or somewhere, he said, "What did you do to these Western boys that they all became so effulgent and happy and bright?" Even Kamsa, when he saw that Devaki became effulgent like the sun, he could understand that Krishna has already entered her body, and he could see the effulgence glowing around Devaki's face. So this effulgence or happiness of a devotee is as powerful a preaching tool as their knowledge, renunciation, and organizational skills. And we'll discuss it today in relation to Ramanujacarya, whose appearance we're celebrating today. So we can see by the happiness on devotees' faces and their spiritual effulgence, we can see that as a test or a measurement of their spiritual progress. And the verse we have selected today to read from Srimad Bhagavatam with Srila Prabhupada's purport actually speaks about this effulgence of devotees. Even though Ramanujacarya himself never commented on Srimad Bhagavatam, his life is a perfect representation of the Bhagavatam teachings. And also Bhagavatam itself speaks and glorifies devotees of Krishna such as Ramanujacarya. The word Bhagavatam means a book related to Bhagavan, Bhagavatam. But according to the grammar of Sanskrit, Bhagavatam also means a book that is about Bhagavatas or the devotees of Bhagavan. So they're inseparable. Not only that, but the Lord enjoys delegating His mission, His powers, His influence, His beauty, His strength to His devotees. And He enjoys glorifying them more than He Himself is glorified. That's why there is a description of of Krishna as Bhagavan Bhakta Bhaktiman, who it means Bhagavan who has bhakti for his bhaktas. Bhagavan Bhakta Bhaktiman, he is Bhakta Bhaktiman. And as a bhakta of his devotees, of bhaktas, what does he do? He glorifies them. Another word that is used in description for Krishna is Bhaktanam Manavardhanam. He is the one who enjoys expanding the glories, the opulence and the influence of his devotees. Manavardhanam. And sometimes when Krishna apparently refers to himself when he speaks about Mad Bhaktim Labate Baram, what's the word he uses? Madhama, etc. Well, actually, he very skillfully includes devotees in those descriptions.
और भगवान जब इस प्रकार से गुणानुवर्णन करते हैं तो बहुत ध्यानपूर्वक अपने भक्तों की भक्ति का गुणानुवर्णन भी उसके अंदर समाहित करते हैं.
For instance, when Lord Krishna says Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param, one attains bhakti from me. Mad means to me. Mad Bhakti means bhakti to me, to my person. But actually, according to Sanskrit grammar, Mad can also mean bhakti to mine, to my devotees. Right, like that. So includes devotees always in description of his own glories. So with this preface, let's read about how Bhagavatam glorifies Krishna's devotees in this verse, which is, I think it's on the screen, right? It's a verse from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 2, verse 31. Actually, it was a very short notice. Keshava Murari Prabhu just this morning after Mangalarati asked me to speak about Ramanujacarya. One of the things that makes a leader or a manager happy is the ability to delegate things. Right, so I can see that Keshava Murari Prabhu is very expert at delegating. Somehow he does it in such a way that you cannot refuse. Okay, so with this preface, let's read the verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nashta Prayesha Bhadrashu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishchiki. So we'll read this verse. When I received this assignment from Keshava Murari Prabhu, I immediately thought about this verse, which is again a perfect description of Ramanujacarya and his mission in this world. Of course, Ramanujacarya's glories are as vast as the ocean. And I was trying to read some of the pastimes of Ramanujacarya this morning, but the more I read, the more I realized how futile it is to try and reproduce his life in what we have 45 minutes. Actually, half that because we speak in 2 languages. But at the same time, this verse encapsulates the actual mission of Ramanujacharya and any other great acharyas of the past. So let's read it together. Swayam Samudhi. I'll read it and then you repeat, right? That's how you do it here? Or you have a different format? Okay, and then you'll. So that's the same here. I don't know, it's a new standard. Why couldn't each other? You want to do it together? Swayam Samutirya Sudustaram Dyuman. Swayam Samutirya Sudustaram Dyuman. Bavar Navam Bhima Madabra Sohrida. Bavar Navam Bhimam Adabra Sohrida. Bhavat Padambo Ruha Navamatrate. Bhavat padambo ruhanavamatrate Nidhaya yata sadanugraho bhavan Nidhaya yata sadanugraho bhavan Svayam samutirya sudustaram dyuman Bhavarnavam bhima madapraso hrida Bhavat padambo ruhanavamatrate Nidhaya yata sadanugraho bhavan. Translation: O Lord, who resemble the shining sun, you are always ready to fulfill the desire of your devotee, and therefore you are known as a desire tree, Vanchakalpataru. When acharyas completely take shelter under your lotus feet in order to cross the fierce ocean of nations, they leave behind on earth the method by which they cross, and because you are very merciful to your other devotees, you accept this method to help them. Om Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksharo Merinatamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Vadati Swapadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam. So this verse is spoken by demigods who glorify Krishna, who is in the womb of Devaki. They're praying to him to encourage him to come out and fulfill the mission for which he has appeared. Actually, the very first verse that they speak, they pronounce in the sequence of verses, reminds Krishna that he is always truthful to his promise. Satyavratam Satyaparam Trisatyam. He says, you've promised, so please do not forget your promise. Please come out and deal with these demons. But in this verse, they refer to Krishna in his very intimate dealings with his devotees. They specifically say here that the Lord, Vishnu, is driven by the desires of his devotees, and he delegates to his devotees the mission that he wants to fulfill in this world. They refer to the Lord as Dyuman, which means that he appears as brilliant, as shining as the sun. But after Krishna appeared and he manifested his Vrindavan pastimes, Krishna also glorifies in the same terms his devotees. He says, Sadhunam samachitanam sutaram atkritatmanam. These my devotees, they're just like the sun. Just like someone cannot, unless he or she are blind, they cannot remain in darkness if they're face to face, facing the sun. Excuse me. Even if you close your eyes but you're facing the sun's effulgence is so bright that it penetrates even the eyelids, and you can still feel the lights shining through. In the same way, Krishna explains, Darshanam na bhavet bandha. If someone is face to face with my devotee, who is like the sun,
और इसी प्रकार से यदि कोई व्यक्ति मेरे भक्तों के सम्मुख होता है तो वो समझ लीजिए कि सूर्य की समक्ष है.
he will never remain in the darkness of ignorance of this material world.
और ऐसा व्यक्ति कभी भी अज्ञान रूपी अंधकार की समक्ष नहीं रहेगा.
Pumsakshnak savitur yatha, just like someone's eyes are illuminated by the sun, in the same way one's internal vision is illuminated by the effulgence of my devotees.
जिस प्रकार से व्यक्ति की आंखों के अंदर रोशनी से वो संसार को देख सकता है, उसी प्रकार से जब कोई व्यक्ति भगवत भक्तों का संग करता है तो उसके आंतरिक जो चक्षु है वो भी दिव्य ज्ञान से प्रकाशित होते हैं.
And in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna goes even further.
और शिव भागवत में 11वें स्कंद में भगवान और भी आगे कहते हैं.
He says, my devotees are even better than the sun,
और मेरे भगवान कहते हैं कि मेरे भक्त सूर्य से भी बेहतर हैं.
because the sun shines only during the daytime
क्योंकि सूर्य जो है केवल दिन में ही प्रकाशित होता है.
and only on a sunny day.
और वो भी सिर्फ
On a sunny day.
धूप निकलती है उससे.
I don't know, you don't have a term sunny day. Every day is sunny in Delhi. No, actually today is not. Today it's overcast and it's raining, right?
तो केवल उसी दिन देख सकते हैं जिस दिन सूर्य साफ दिख रहा होता है. जिस दिन वर्षा हो रही होती है उस दिन नहीं देख सकते.
Right. But my devotees shine always,
परंतु मेरे जो भक्त हैं वो सदैव चमकते हैं.
day or night.
दिन हो या रात.
And unlike the sun, which illuminates only the external objects, devotees illuminate the world within us, the spiritual world.
सूर्य तो केवल बाहर से किसी वस्तु को चमक दे सकता है, लेकिन भगवत भक्त किसी व्यक्ति को अंदर से प्रकाशित करते हैं.
And because the Lord's mission in coming here is to help conditioned souls overcome or cross over the ocean of material nations,
और चूंकि भगवान का उद्देश्य है कि जो पतित जीवात्माएं हैं वो भवसागर रूपी इस संसार को पार करें,
which is very difficult to overcome.
जो कि बहुत मुश्किल है पार करना.
Who was that Markandeya Rishi? He wanted the Lord to show him the actual scale of or grandeur of material illusion. It was Markandeya Rishi.
मार्कंडेय ऋषि जो है भगवान को बताना एक बार चाहते थे कि अज्ञानता का क्या सीमा है.
And Lord manifested to him that ocean of deluge of devastation in which Markandeya Rishi was tossed around by huge waves and was scared by fearsome aquatic animals, and he was being tossed around for like hundreds of years by himself.
और जब इस प्रकार से मार्कंडेय ऋषि भगवान से जानना चाहते थे कि कितना भयंकर संसार है, तो भगवान ने उनके समक्ष ऐसी परिस्थितियां प्रस्तुत कर दी जिसमें उनको देखने को मिला कि किस प्रकार से जो जलचर है वो कितने भयावह रूप से आते हैं और उनको पूरा परिस्थिति का अवगत करा देते हैं कि कितना भयावह संसार है.
Until when he was washed ashore on a small island on which there was a banyan tree.
और उसी लहरों के बीच में वो एक द्वीप के पास पहुंच जाते हैं जहाँ पर एक
banyan tree. Ashwat was it? Banyan tree? Banyan tree. You know, Ashwat is it? Ashwatha tree. Ashwat. Anyhow, right, that's okay. And then on the leaf of that tree there was a small baby, Krishna.
और उस छोटे से उस प्रकृति के पेड़ छोटी सी पत्ती पर भगवान थे.
And that Krishna as a baby, he was putting his lotus foot into his mouth.
और उस पत्ती पर भगवान जो है अपने चरण को अपने मुख में लेते हैं.
You know, babies can do that.
सामान्यतः कोई ऐसा बच्चा नहीं कर सकता.
Grown-up people, they have a hard time. I mean, unless you're a yogi, you can. But it's very difficult to put your foot into your mouth.
सामान्यतः कोई व्यक्ति नहीं कर सकता जब तक कि वह योगी ना हो.
Don't try it at home.
आप अपने घरों में इस प्रकार से
He was putting his foot into his mouth.
और वो अपने पैर को अपने ऐसे मुख में लेते हैं.
And no one was watching him except Markandeya. Yes, and the acharyas explained that the reason why Krishna was doing that was that he was trying to understand what is that so sweet in my feet that my devotees always think about the feet and glorify them. And he was trying to taste the taste of his own feet to understand what's so sweet about them.
और भगवान जानना चाहते थे कि ऐसा क्या है मेरे चरण कमलों में खास कि मेरे भक्त जो है सदैव मेरे चरणों का रसास्वादन करना चाहते हैं. तो वो बड़े इस भाव से अपने चरण को
Right, and this verse explains why.
और ये श्लोक भी उसी विषय में बताता है.
It says that the Lord's lotus feet are the best vehicle or the best boat to cross over the ocean of material existence.
और ये श्लोक यही बताता है कि इस संसार को पार करने के लिए सर्वोत्कृष्ट जो विधि है वो है भगवान ईश्वर चरण।
Because they are so wonderful, these boats, or the boat of Krishna's lotus feet.
और ये इसकी क्योंकि भगवान के चरण कमल और ये जो ग्रंथ है ये बहुत ही सुंदर साधन है।
And is that as soon as one takes shelter of them,
और जैसे ही कोई व्यक्ति इनकी शरण लेता है,
the ocean of material existence shrinks
भगवत भाव संसार का जो सागर है वो क्षीण हो जाता है
to the size of a hoof print of a calf.
गौखर के समान, जैसे गाय के बछड़े के पैर का जो कटा जिस साइज का धरती पर होता है उस साइज का रह जाता है।
There is still some residual water in that little hoof print.
जितना पानी उसके अंदर आता है बस उतना ही भवसागर।
What's remained of that ocean of material existence?
तो भवसागर के जो पूरा जल है बस उतना सा ही रह जाता है।
And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that that little remainder of the water of material existence in the hoof print of a calf becomes very auspicious for a devotee.
और वो जो इतना सा गौखर के अंदर जो जल रह जाता है भवसागर का वो वास्तविकता में बहुत ही पवित्र हो जाता है।
Because it purifies him instead of contaminating him. It's very pure and auspicious.
और ये जो जल पीछे रह जाता है भवसागर का वो बहुत ही शुभ होता है और बहुत ही पवित्र होता है।
So, but what does it mean to take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet? What does it mean to take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet?
इसका क्या अर्थ है कि हम भगवान के चरणों की शरण ले सकते हैं?
It is explained elsewhere, another verse also spoken by demigods.
एक और श्लोक है जिसने देवी देवताओं ने एक और श्लोक का उच्चारण किया और वहाँ पे इस विषय में बताया है।
Янера виндакша вимукта манинас тваяста бава да вишуда будаях арухя кричхрена парам падам татах патантя дho надриша юдмашан юшмадан граях. They say that some people think in their pride.
कुछ लोग अपने विषय में ऐसा सोचते हैं।
They think in their pride that they're already liberated. Pride, garv में. Some people think in their pride they're already liberated.
कुछ व्यक्ति अपने अहंकार में ऐसा सोचते हैं कि वे मुक्त हैं।
Vimukta maninas. They think that they have already attained that highest destination, Aruhya Krishna.
और उनको ऐसा लगता है कि वैसे ही वो उच्च कोटि के स्थान पर पहुंच चुके हैं।
But they cannot stay there
परंतु वो वहाँ रह नहीं सकते।
because they haven't taken shelter of Krishna's lotus feet.
क्योंकि उन्हें भगवान श्री कृष्ण के चरण कमलों की शरण लेनी होगी।
But Srila Jiva Goswami, he notices something very unusual about this verse.
परंतु श्रीला जीव गोस्वामी कुछ बड़ा ही विचित्र इस श्लोक के विषय में देखते हैं।
How many lotus feet does Krishna have?
कि भगवान श्री कृष्ण के कितने चरण?
Kidna. Do. But in this verse, the feet are in the plural, many.
परंतु इस श्लोक में हम देखते हैं कि भगवान श्री कृष्ण के चरण कमल बहुत सारे हैं।
What does it mean?
इसका क्या मतलब है?
Which form of Krishna has many lotus feet?
ऐसा भगवान का कौन सा स्वरूप है जिसमें भगवान के बहुत सारे चरण?
And he says, it's not Krishna's lotus feet.
ये भगवान श्री कृष्ण के चरण कमल नहीं है।
It's the devotee's lotus feet.
ये भगवान के भक्तों के चरण कमल।
Right. Unless one takes shelter of devotee's lotus feet, he won't be able to stay at the lotus feet of Krishna.
और जब तक कोई व्यक्ति भगवान के श्री भक्तों के चरण कमलों की शरण नहीं लेगा तब तक वो भगवान के चरणों में रह नहीं पाएगा।
Right. And those devotees, the liberated souls who are described in this verse,
और ये जो श्लोक है ये मुक्तात्माओं के द्वारा बताया गया है।
they take the lotus feet of Krishna
वो भगवान श्री कृष्ण के चरण कमल लेते हैं।
and they cross over the ocean of material existence using that vehicle, that boat.
और वह इस चरण कमल के माध्यम से भवसागर को पार कर जाते हैं।
But they leave the boat on our shore, on our side of the ocean.
परंतु वो जो विधि है वो जो नाव है वो भवसागर के दूसरे कोने में छोड़ देते हैं।
So by following their example,
तो उनके उदाहरण को पालन करके
right, we could do the same and attain the same destination.
और यदि हम वही करें जो उन्होंने बताया तो हम उसी गंतव्य पे पहुंचेंगे जहाँ पर वो गए हैं।
Just like Srila Prabhupada.
ठीक उसी प्रकार से जैसे श्रीला प्रभुपाद
All such great devotees like Srila Prabhupada, Ramanujacarya, Madhvacharya, Nimbarkacharya, Vishnu Swami, the entire Guru Parampara, they are already liberated.
और ये हम देख सकते हैं कि हमारे गुरु के आचार्य जैसे रामानुजाचार्य, मध्वाचार्य, ये सारे आचार्यों ने इसी विधि का पालन किया और ये सारे मुक्तात्मा हैं।
They're not even liberated. Liberated is an understatement. Understatement.
अगर हम ये कहें कि वो मुक्त हैं तो ये भी अपने आप में एक
It's not doesn't glorify them to say that they're liberated. Understatement. And what's such a word? Is understatement?
I'm not able to
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
ये उनकी गुणवत्ता के लिए कम वाक्य होगा।
Right. They're liberating souls.
मानने वाले हैं।
They give liberation to whoever they want. Krishna Setamara, Krishna Ditipara. And Krishna is your property. You, Acharya Thakur, you can give Krishna to whoever you want. And that's why Srila Prabhupada in his purport here to this verse, he explains it's the Acharya's jurisdiction, his right to take from the scriptures the statements, the instructions that are suitable for a particular time, for a particular audience, and give these instructions to these people, making them as, I guess I'm too long, right? Yeah, let's translate that part. As effective, as potent as the previous instructions for different age. Have you noticed, did you notice what Prabhupada writes in the purport? Who noticed that? Very important. What did Prabhupada write? Something very inspiring. I think the most inspiring part of the purport is something. Somebody beside, except Karuna Chandra Prabhu. What did Srila Prabhupada write? Emphasizing his own position as an acharya. And also except Vaikuntha Chandra Prabhu, because he has a computer in front of him. Anyway, please.
It is the duty of the current acharyas that they write the books as circumstances and then publish and distribute the same.
Yes, it's very good, yeah, it's important, and this is what Srila Prabhupada, what acharyas explained, that the boat that the acharyas give us is made of two components. The books that acharyas write and the sangha of devotees that they create. But I was looking for something else. Mataji, did you notice anything very, very inspiring in the purport? Prabhupada says that we cannot follow the previous standards of devotional service. But when the acharya makes a concession, right, and he simplifies the methods of devotional service and gives it to us. He says, because the acharya is a very dear devotee of Krishna, Krishna accepts these methods as fully authoritative and effective. When Prabhupada was discussing the future sadhana for ISKCON with Mukunda Maharaj, was Mukunda Das at that time in San Francisco, he asked Mukunda, so Mukunda, do you chant your 64 rounds a day? Because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would consider anyone who chanted less than 1 lakh a fallen person. And Mukunda, he didn't know what to say. It was so, what's the word? Outrageously impossible. Yeah, he didn't say anything in return. And Prabhupada said, okay, 32 rounds. 32 rounds. Mukunda didn't say anything. 25 rounds. He didn't say anything. And Prabhupada said, okay, 16 rounds. And follow your principles, chant 16 rounds, not less than that. And then he says, Krishna will accept. These simple principles as to be as effective as their other difficult principles of the past.
आध्यात्मिक प्रक्रिया है उसके समान ही है, उपयोगी है.
Right. Srila Rupa Goswami, there is a very famous verse, and Rupa Goswami says, Prachinanam bhajanam atulam dushkaram shrinvatami. When I, Rupa Goswami says, think about the difficult, Prachinanam bhajanam atulam dushtaram shrinvatami. They're so difficult. The principles of devotional service that devotees of the past followed, I lose all my enthusiasm. That's what he says.
जब मैं पूर्ववर्ती भक्तों के द्वारा किए गए भक्ति के विधि विधानों और नियमों के बारे में विषय में सोचता हूँ तो मुझे समझ में आता है कि कितना मुश्किल है और मेरा भक्ति का सारा उत्साह नष्ट हो जाता है.
Naryasena jvalati hridayam bhakti lishala lasasya means I'm very lazy and I'm very misfortunate. I cannot follow even a small portion or fraction of the principles that they followed in the past.
और मैं पूर्ववर्ती आचार्यों के समान उनका जो उन्होंने भक्ति का पालन किया उसका तो बहुत कम हिस्से का पालन कर सकता.
So such acharyas as Srila Prabhupada, they have this special potency. Whatever they prescribe as a effective method of devotional service, Krishna accepts that as fully effective.
जैसे आचार्यों का कहा है कि जो भी वो विधान बताते हैं वो भगवान श्री कृष्ण स्वीकार कर लेते हैं.
So that's why Srila Prabhupada a few times he quoted the definition of an acharya. The definition of an acharya. Prabhupada oftentimes quoted a definition of an acharya. Who is acharya? Acharya is someone who does three things. Achinoti shastratham, who collects the essence from all shastra. Acharas tapayatyapi, and he follows that essence of all shastra in his own example. Swayam acharati, and then he also codifies it as a principles to follow for his disciples. So this is exactly what Ramanujacarya did when he appeared. It's a long history of predecessors of Ramanujacarya, starting with the great Yamunacharya. We don't have time to even start discussing that history. Now it's already 9 o'clock almost. But Yamunacharya was praying to the Lord for someone who could continue his mission of establishing pure devotional service. And it was almost exactly 1,000 years ago, in the year 1017, which means 1,009 years ago. 1,009 years ago. Ramanujacarya, the great acharya, appeared in the family of two very pure souls. His father was Asuri Keshava and his mother was Kantimati. Asuri Keshava, it was his name. Asuri Keshava Acharya. Kantimati. And he appeared as a very bright, brilliant, small child who from the very youth, very early days of his life manifested the signs of a great liberated soul. He had a extremely sharp memory. He remembered everything he studied. He had a very sweet, very gentle and humble disposition. Mood. Sorry, gentle means komal. Are you okay? Okay, disposition means mood or charita. And he also had signs of a liberated soul, of mukta purusha in his body. And there are many instances in Ramanujacharya's life that again draw this parallel between him and the sun.
शून्य के समान जो गुण हम देखने को मिलते हैं।
When he went to the school of Yadava Prakash, a teacher, local teacher, who was a Mayavadi.
जब एक समय वो यादव प्रकाश के स्कूल विद्यालय में गए,
And Yadava Prakash explained to them the Shastra using an approach that Mayavadis use
इस प्रकार से बताया जैसे एक मायावादी बनाता है,
by putting down the eternal form of Vishnu,
और जिसमें कि भगवान
ridiculing the internal form of Vishnu.
जिसमें कि भगवान के स्वरूप को एक तरह से तिरस्कृत किया गया है।
So once Yadava Prakash was explaining a passage from the Chandogya Upanishad,
और एक समय वो छंदोग्य उपनिषद से जो है एक श्लोक का वर्णन कर रहे थे।
Kapyasam, he was that passage compared the eyes of the lotus eyes of Lord Vishnu to Kapi Asam Pundarikam Akshnati, something like that.
और भगवान के जो कमल नयन हैं उनको काव्याश्रम से उपमा में कर रहे थे।
Kapyasam. And Yadava Prakash, in his sinful mood of a Mayavadi, said, well, Kapyasam is very easy to understand. Kapi means a monkey. Asam means the rear part of the monkey. And it's red. So the eyes of the Lord are as red as the rear part of the monkey. I'm sorry, I'm even scared to repeat these words in front of Shishi Radhamadu. But anyway, it's part of the history.
वर्णन कर रहे थे और काफी का मतलब होता है बंदर और आसन मतलब बंदर के उत्कृष्ट भाग का तुलना। तो एक प्रकार से कह रहे हैं कि भगवान में जो देखते हैं वो बंदर के उत्कृष्ट भाग के समान है।
And at that time, small Ramanuja was massaging his feet, the feet of his spiritual, of his guru. And because of this very terrible, hurtful, very vicious comparison, he started crying. He couldn't tolerate the offense. And the tears of Ramanuja fell on the body of Yadava Prakash, and he immediately understood something was going on with Ramanuja. And he asked him, what makes you so sad? And he very respectfully said, but you misunderstood this passage. It's not translated like that. There is another translation. Kapi doesn't mean monkey. Kapi means Kam Jalam Pibati. It's the name of the sun. Kam Jalam Pibati means one who drinks the water. It's the sun who dissipates, evaporates water. That's Kapi. And the Asam means blossom. Blossom. Full. Right. So by these Kapyasam, the Chandogya Upanishad refers to the lotus flower that is brought to life by the sun. Anyway, he said Kamalka full. Right, I'm sorry. So Yadava Prakash admitted defeat. He didn't know what to say to that. Very beautiful exposition of the Chandogya Upanishad by. Anyway, we'll fast forward because the time is very short. I wanted to narrate a couple more stories that emphasize the sun-like nature of Ramanujacarya. It was another when he already has established himself as an acharya of the Sampradaya, Ramanujacarya. When he already became a prominent acharya with disciples and monasteries, a Mayavadi scholar named Yagyamurti came to his place. Yagyamurti. He was undefeated. And whenever he would go, he would bring with him a cart full of books.
और जहाँ पे भी वो जाते थे अपने साथ में खूब सारे ग्रंथों को लेकर जाते
And he would defeat anyone
थे और वो किसी को भी परास्त कर
with his shastric knowledge, sharp intelligence, and very skillful debating techniques.
और वो अपने शास्त्र के ज्ञान पर तर्क करने की शक्ति पर और उनके बोलने की जो तरीका था उससे सामने वाले को अक्सर परास्त करते थे.
So he heard of Ramanujacarya's glories as an acharya of Vaishnava Sampradaya.
और उन्होंने जब श्रील रामानुजाचार्य के गुणों के विषय में सुना एक आचार्य के रूप में,
So he came and challenged Ramanujacarya.
तो वो उनके पास में गया और उनको चुनौती देते हैं.
Let's debate.
आइए शास्त्रार्थ करते हैं.
Ramanujacarya said, why debate? Why waste time? I can just sign a Vijaya Patra, and you can have me as one of your trophies.
रामानुजाचार्य ने कहा कि बहस करने का क्या है, आप जहाँ बोलेंगे मैं उस पर तो एक साइन कर दूंगा और आप मुझे अपना विजय तोहफा समझ सकते हैं.
But Yagyamurti was not that easy to deal with, or get rid of. He said, okay, but this you will admit that your Vaishnava philosophy is wrong and false and is completely mistaken, and the form of Lord Vishnu is also an illusion, and the Supreme Brahman and Brahmavada, or the Brahmavada is the Supreme Darshana.
तो वो इतने भी नहीं रुके, उन्होंने श्रील रामानुजाचार्य से कहा कि आपको ये कहना होगा कि आपका जो वैष्णव सिद्धांत है वो सारा झूठ धोखा है और जो परम पुरुष है उनका कोई स्वरूप नहीं है और ब्रह्मवाद को आपको स्वीकार करना होगा.
Even though Ramanujacharya was very sweet and humble by his disposition, by his character,
वैसे तो श्रील रामानुजाचार्य अपने आचरण से बड़े ही सभ्य थे,
he couldn't tolerate that.
परंतु वो इसे बर्दाश्त न कर सके.
Actually, it's forbidden in the Shastra to tolerate offenses against the Lord and against His devotees.
और शास्त्रों में ऐसा बताया गया है कि भगवान के भक्तों के प्रति और उनके प्रति भगवान के प्रति बात को सहन नहीं करना चाहिए.
It's described by Rupa Goswami that intolerance of offense against devotees and the Lord is an anga of pure devotional service.
और ऐसा
Intolerance.
स्वयं बताया कि जो कोई व्यक्ति भगवान के और भगवान के भक्तों के प्रति बोले और बात को सहन नहीं करता
So
है तो वास्तविकता में शुद्ध भगवत भक्ति के संकेत है.
So he started debating. For 17 days they debated.
और इस प्रकार से श्रील रामानुजाचार्य और उनके बीच में 17 दिन तक शास्त्रार्थ चला.
And no side could gain the upper hand. They were kind of equal in their skill.
शास्त्रार्थ में दोनों का स्थान लगभग समान है.
Just like Bhim and Duryodhana, they were fighting for 30 days, they were fighting 28 days, and no one could gain victory unless Krishna interfered.
और इस प्रकार से जब शास्त्रार्थ चल रहा था, ठीक उसी प्रकार से जैसे भीम और दुर्योधन का युद्ध शायद जिस प्रकार से 40 दिन चला और भगवान ने हस्तक्षेप किया, तो उसी प्रकार से यहाँ पर.
So at the end of the 17th day, Ramanujacharya was all but desperate.
और 17वें दिन जो है रामानुजाचार्य बहुत ही व्याकुल हो गए.
And he went back home to his ashrama and he approached the Lord, Devaraja. Devaraja was a deity of Lord Vishnu in his ashrama, and he said, my dear Lord, I'm almost defeated by this Mayavad. He's so skillful, he's so tricky, he's so knowledgeable. I cannot win an argument with him unless you interfere.
श्रील रामानुजाचार्य अपने आश्रम में वापस जाते हैं और उनके पास में देवराज नाम के जो विग्रह होते हैं उनसे वो प्रार्थना करते हैं कि भगवान मैं लगभग इस मायावादी से परास्त होने वाला हूँ, मेरे पास में कोई तर्क बचा नहीं है क्योंकि आपने हस्तक्षेप नहीं किया तो मेरी पराजय तय है.
And he fell asleep.
और गिरी में सो गया.
And in his dream, the Lord appeared to him and said,
जब रामानुजाचार्य अपने स्वप्न जब सोए तो भगवान उनके स्वप्न में प्रकट हुए.
with a smile.
वो भी मुस्कुराते.
Krishna always smiles. He is called Prasanna-vadanam in the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Prasanna-vadanam. And Srila Prabhupada translates that name of Krishna as the eternally smiling personality of Godhead. That's what he's translated. Now we know who Keshava Murari Prabhu got his ability to smile always, right? So he told him, don't you worry, I'll deal with it. You'll be victorious. This Mayavadi doesn't have much longer to last. No, he will. And on the other end, the Mayavadi, Yagyamurti, he was all but celebrating his victory. He said, okay, looks like I'm just about to defeat Ramanujacharya. Judging by his look on your face, you can see when your opponent is demoralized and he is almost ready to quit. You can tell it by the face, right?
ने देखा कि रामानुजाचार्य लगभग परास्त होने वाले हैं तो अपनी विजय का वो जो है प्रसन्नता बना रहा था।
So he came in the morning ready to relish his victory when he saw Ramanujacharya coming.
पर जैसे वो सुबह आकर अपनी विजय के ऊपर प्रसन्न होना चाहते थे तो उन्होंने देखा रामानुजाचार्य सामने से आ रहे हैं।
And he came as if effulgent as the sun, like the sun rises on the horizon. He came with his radiant face, his glowing body, and his completely happy, cheerful disposition. And he came and he said, "Okay, let's debate." And Vyagyamurti, he just fell flat at the feet of Ramanujacharya and said, I surrender, I quit, I admit defeat. I can see that the source of your strength is inexhaustible. The source is your faith, your devotion to Krishna. That must be, Krishna must be the higher truth than what I'm trying to present. And Ramanujacharya accepted him as a disciple and gave him initiation. Do you know which name he gave him? He was Yagyamurti, and then he became an initiated disciple of Ramanujacharya. Which name you think he got? Right, Devaraja Muni. Devaraja Muni Das. So that's another episode. I told you that this effulgence, the happiness, the bright face of devotees is sometimes a much stronger argument than the philosophy they present. And there are two more stories, very short stories, that illuminate Ramanujacharya's position as a son-like acharya. There was a very materialistic man. His name was Dhanurdas. Materialistic. Dhanurdas. And he was in love with one lady whose name was Himamba. To the point that they were not married, but he was so much in love with her. He would walk around her, he would fan her in the street with a chamara and a fan, and he would always look at her face, and he was going backwards in front of her, fanning her and looking at her beautiful face like that. It was very strange thing. Right. Nowadays, people don't look at each other like that. They always look at the mobile phones like that. Their himamba is in the phone. But it was such a bizarre, very strange scene for that cultured city of Srirangam that the devotees of Ramanujacharya started ridiculing that man, ridiculing him, making fun of him. He said, "Look at this foolish man. He lost all his mind." But Ramanujacharya told him, Don't blaspheme him, don't offend him, bring him here. So the man came respectful to the Acharya and said, "Yes, how can I serve you?" And Ramanujacharya said, "Why do you behave in such a strange way?" And he said, "Well, because I've never seen eyes more beautiful than hers." And Ramanujacharya said, "But if I show you the eyes even more beautiful than those eyes, will you quit, stop being attached to her, and instead transfer your love to the possessor of those eyes?" बिल्कुल Sure, yeah, all that. So come tomorrow to Mangalarati, Shriranga Mandir. So important, dear devotees, to come to Mangalarati. To see the eyes, right? So he came to Mangalarati. There's several gates that need to be opened to see the Lord Shriranga, Ranganath. So Ramanujacarya, he hid in the inner chamber, sanctum sanctorium, with the torch. And when the doors opened, with the torch he illuminated the face of Shri Ranganath and the beautiful eyes of the Lord. And Damodar immediately fell in love with the Lord. He still married Himamba. He still married Himamba. married Himamba. Right, but they both became disciples of Ramanujacarya. Great disciples. So this is how the Acharya illuminates with his love the beauty of Krishna. He is like the sun that illuminates even Krishna for us. And the last story, I'll make it very short, is his disciple Kuresha. He lost his eyes to protecting his spiritual master. Kuresha, the disciple of Ramanujacharya, Kuresh. He lost his eyes protecting the spiritual master. It was a long story, but anyway, he sacrificed his eyes to save Ramanujacharya. So Ramanujacharya felt very sorry for him, and he said, "You should go to Lord Varadaraj and ask for your eyes back." It's my order to you, because these eyes of yours are my property, and you lost them. So go to the Lord and ask them back. So Kuresha did as ordered, and when the Lord appeared to him, he said, "My dear Lord, I don't need anything, but I had two valuable things of my spiritual master that he owned and I lost. It was the property of my spiritual master that I lost. Could you please help me get them back for my spiritual master?" So I said, "Okay, be it as you wish." And he fainted, and then he got up again with his eyes back in place. In the same way, our spiritual master gives us the eyes of knowledge. Chakudan dila jai, janmi janmi prabhu say. And by his transcendental vision, he illuminates Krishna as the object of our worship by his sun-like devotion to him. And by his happiness, Krishna Nandaya Dhimahi, he dissipates the ignorance of our illusion. Devotees of Srila Prabhupada, disciples, those who were fortunate, like Sarvadrik Prabhu, who is present here amongst us, very fortunate to have direct disciple of Srila Prabhupada, they remembered that Prabhupada's presence was so potent that just by seeing Prabhupada, without even hearing him speak, all doubts in devotional service, all misconceptions would just dissipate. And I'll conclude, that's the last thing I'll say, I promise. I'll conclude with the essence of Ramanujacharya's instructions.
क्लास समाप्त करूंगा, लेकिन श्रीमद् रामानुजाचार्य की शिक्षाओं का जो सार है वो कुछ इस प्रकार से है।
If you could kindly bear with me, I'll just take one more minute.
कृपया करके बस 1 मिनट के लिए और सब्र करें।
When Ramanujacarya was just about to depart this world,
जब रामानुजाचार्य इस संसार से प्रस्थान करने वाले थे,
he lived for 120 years.
वो 120 वर्षों के लिए रहे।
And when it was the sign of his departure, imminent departure from this world, disciples came to him asking, Guru Maharaj, please give us the essence of your instructions.
और जब वो प्रस्थान करने वाले थे, तो उनके शिष्यों के पास में आए और उनसे पूछा कि आप हमें निर्देशों का सार बताइए।
Like Srila Prabhupada, he codified his instructions to us in his books. Ramanujacarya also wrote many books for his disciples. So he said, okay, my main instruction to you is study the Sri Bhashya and teach it to others. This service is the most pleasing to the Lord. Study. Sri Bhashya is his commentary. Sri Bhashya is commentary on the Vedanta Sutra by Ramanujacarya. Sri Bhashya. Just like Prabhupada told his disciples, you study my purpose, cram them, and just keep them reading over and over again. In this way, you'll never be separated from me. I'm in my books, right? That's what Prabhupada said. But if you cannot do that, then learn from the teachings of other devotees, those who present my teachings to you in a very easily accessible, palatable way. Learn from them. And teach these to other devotees also. Have a Namahata program or Bhakti Vriksha or something like that. And if you cannot do that, then go to the holy place and reside there and practice bhajan in the holy place. And if you cannot do that, then remain in the place where you live and just try to follow the instructions of your spiritual master, chant mantra, japa. And if you cannot do that, what's the basic, the bottom, the simplest, the basic, the foundational instruction? Which is always effective, always works. He says, find some sincere, pure-hearted devotees. Sincere, pure-hearted. And just be with them. Just sit in their company. And do some service for them. That will take care of all your spiritual needs. That's what Srila Prabhupada told us also. Never leave ISKCON, no matter what. Because the association of devotees and the teachings of the Acharya these are what is actually the boat which we can take up, which we can use to go across the ocean of material existence. Shri Ramanujacarya Virbhava Mahamahotsava ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaura Premanande.